Ladies and gentlemen, please rise in honor of the class of 2019. Please remain standing and welcome Bethany Pearson from the University of Utah School of Music, who will sing the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Please welcome President Ruth Watkins.
Congratulations, class of 2019, you did it. As we begin this evening's celebration, I'd like to introduce and welcome the guests who are seated on the stage. Please stand as you are announced and remain standing. And please hold your applause until we have been able to recognize everyone. From the State Board of Regents, Dan Campbell, Wilfred Clyde, Robert Marquardt, and Harris Simmons, Chair. Dave Bueller, Commissioner of the Utah System of Higher Education. Members of our Board of Trustees, David Burton, Chair. Phil Klinger, Vice Chair. Katie Eccles, Spence Eccles, Treasurer. Christian Gardner, Anne Marie Lampropoulos, Connor Morgan, David Parkin, and Joe Sargitakis. Former University of Utah President Geraldine McIntyre, Jenny Wilson, Salt Lake County Mayor, the deans and directors of the university's schools, colleges, and museums, members of the President's Cabinet and University Administration, and leaders of the Associated Students of the University of Utah. Warmest welcome to all of you. And please be seated. This year, we mark the 150th General Commencement at the University of Utah, a milestone that commemorates decades of fulfilling our role as the state's flagship institution and as the university for Utah. Those receiving degrees tonight reflect both the educational diversity of this university and the wide-ranging interests and passions of our students. From every corner of our university is represented, from anthropology, ballet, engineering, English and marketing, nutrition and Spanish, to economics and urban ecology. In total, today we celebrate 8,465 graduates. Wow, wow. This very talented class came to us from 26 Utah counties, from all 50 states, 1 U.S. territory, and 68 different countries. Our oldest graduate today is 72, and our youngest graduate is just 18. How about it? Our largest group of graduates comes from the Department of Communication. Where are you, future communicators? I hope you're here. Each of you helped us create a rich, diverse, and vibrant campus during your time here. We appreciate your dedication as scholars and your enthusiasm for building a better future. Let me share some of your remarkable stories. Among our graduates today is Craig Hansen, the Student Veteran of the Year. Craig attended the U for a year and then realized he was not quite ready for college. He left school and became a certified commercial diver and diver medic. 2010, he joined the Navy. Craig graduated from distinction from both the Navy Hospital Corps School and the Field Medical Service School. He was assigned to 2nd Battalion, 4th Marines at Camp Pendleton. That's Craig on the right. I think we see his picture. In September 2011, Craig's platoon deployed to Afghanistan. They conducted hundreds of patrols over the following 7 months, treating wounded Marines, teaching first aid to Afghan soldiers, and providing care to countless local citizens, including giving life-saving first aid to a wounded enemy combatant. For his dedicated service, Craig received the Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medal. Upon his return to the U.S., Craig worked at Balboa Naval Hospital and then decided to re-enroll at the U as a pre-med student. He is fully engaged as a student on our campus, but still finds time to work as a teaching assistant and volunteer with children with disabilities. Craig is receiving today a degree in biology. This fall, he will enter our medical school. Craig, will you please stand so that we can recognize you? You will note that Craig is wearing a red, white, and blue cord, as are all candidates for graduation who are military veterans. There are 325 veterans graduating this year. Would all of you please stand and be recognized? Thank you all for your service to our country. I can imagine some of the thoughts behind the smiles that I've seen today as we're outside and greeting you. Some of those smiles say, what a relief. No more finals, no more research papers, and on to the next phase of my life. You may have wondered if you were smart enough, dedicated enough, committed enough to complete a college degree. And now today you know the answer. Yes, you are. Many of you pioneered new territory when you enrolled at the U as the first in your family to attend college. I hope that your experience here at the U was as transformative as it was for Gabe Marino. Gabe, who is receiving a degree in communication, says his college experience set him on the path of doing good. Now, that's not a major you sign up for, but it's one of the outcomes that we hope results from the excellent educational experience we offer. Gabe and many of you took full advantage of the opportunities beyond the classroom to learn what it means to be a contributing member of society. Gabe volunteered with underserved elementary school children, with diverse youth in an after-school program, and as an instructor of English as a second language. That experience struck close to the heart for Gabe, a Colombian immigrant who spoke no English when he first arrived in the U.S. about a decade ago. Gabe did several internships, most recently with the National Park Service in Washington, D.C. This bright young man will join Salt Lake County Mayor Jenny Wilson's office after graduating. And I think you'll agree with me that the future of our state and our country looks bright, thanks to the do-good attitude of graduates like Gabe Marino. Congratulations, Gabe. I'd like to share another story of an inspiring student from the class of 2019, Lynette Randall, who is receiving a degree in social work. Lynette came to the U as an Eccles Distinguished Scholar. Her mother had just passed away, and Lynette was dealing with the deep grief of that loss while also adapting to college. Lynette's personal experience with loss helped steer her toward her chosen career, social work, a field that is the essence of compassion and empathy for others. She is passionate about removing stigmas that surround grief and ensuring access to the best counseling and medical health services possible for those in need. Next steps for Lynette, a master's degree in social work. Please join me in congratulating one of our future change makers. Among our graduates today are many others who, like Lynette, encountered unexpected challenges in their lives, requiring them to demonstrate resilience, courage, and determination. Holly Morales is one such student. Holly is a mother, grandmother, daughter, sister, and a widow. Holly was left to raise 4 children, then ranging in age from 15 to 2. In that moment of darkness, Holly began what she says feels more like a calling than a profession, pursuit of a doctorate in oncological sciences, studying brain cancer. Today, Holly accomplishes step 1 in pursuit of that goal. She will receive her bachelor's degree in biology. Holly, today you add one more identity, college graduate. Congratulations. I know that many of you share the ambitions of Craig, Gabe, Lynette, and Holly. You aspire to make a difference in the world. There is a theme here. You care deeply about people, issues, causes, and creating a better world. Each of you has your own extraordinary story of success. I wish we could highlight every one of you, the challenges you encountered and overcame, the untapped strengths you found as you pursued your degree, what you learned about your field of study, about the world, and about yourself during your time at the U. Our goal when you arrived at the U was to help you develop broad and specialized knowledge and an ability for critical thinking that would serve you well for years to come in an ever-changing workplace and world. You are prepared to be lifelong learners. We applaud all of you for embarking on this academic journey of discovery. Now, I know that many of you are also feeling deep gratitude today for those who supported you and offered you encouragement as you pursued your education. I'd like to invite our graduates to stand now and offer an expression of appreciation to the family and friends, faculty and staff who helped make this day possible for them. Please stand, recognize your family. And now I'd like to welcome Dan Reed, our Senior Vice President for Academic Affairs, to highlight our Faculty Award recipients.
For mentoring students and advancing research and scholarship at this institution. They challenge, mentor, inspire, and they elevate those around them. These award recipients come from across our entire campus. We also honor an outstanding public school teacher selected by our College of Education. Each honoree is listed in your program and is highlighted in the video you're about to see. I'd like to ask all of those who are honored to please stand so we can see you and we can recognize you with your applause. I'm now delighted to announce the recipient of the Rosenblatt Prize for Excellence. This is the highest honor the University of Utah can bestow upon a faculty member. The prize recognizes achievement that transcends the ordinary in teaching, in research, and in service. The Rosenblatt Prize is awarded by the President of the University of Utah based on the recommendations of a distinguished selection committee. The 2019 recipient of the Rosenblatt Prize for Excellence is Cynthia Burrows, Distinguished Professor of Chemistry. Professor Burrows, please join me here. Now I get to brag on her. Professor Burrows is the Thatcher Presidential Endowed Chair of Biological Chemistry. She's an internationally recognized expert in RNA and DNA damage and repair, and she's made an extraordinary number of groundbreaking discoveries. Professor Burrows holds close to 200 patents, has published more than 200 articles in premier journals and dozens of book chapters, and she currently serves as the editor-in-chief of one of the most respected journals of the American Chemical Society. Professor Burrows has received numerous awards and recognitions, including the American Chemical Society's James Flass Norris Award in Physical Organic Chemistry. This is the highest and most coveted award in that field. She's a member of both the U.S. National Academy of Sciences and of the American Academy of Arts and Sciences. In addition to her scholarly achievements, Professor Burrows is an accomplished administrator who served with distinction as the chair of the Department of Chemistry, helping it rise to national and to international prominence. She's also a gifted teacher and has been especially dedicated to the mentorship of women in science. She's an accomplished scholar, giving generously of her time in both the scientific community and also to our campus community. As one of her professional colleagues said, and this is a really great cut-to-the-chase quote, the bottom line, you got a gem on your faculty. Thank you and congratulations, Professor Burrows, our 2019 Rosenblatt Prize recipient.
Congratulations, hearty and heartfelt, to all of this year's faculty honorees. It's now my pleasure to introduce our student speaker. Baccalaureate students graduating with honors and those nominated by their college were invited to submit a written essay for consideration by a selection committee of students, faculty, and staff. 85 outstanding students were considered to represent the graduates here tonight. All of the finalist speeches were heartfelt and worthy, but Elise Cloward was the unanimous choice of the committee. Elise was part of the Miller Enrichment Scholarship Program and is graduating today with a degree in business administration. Please welcome Elise Cloward.
Thank you, President Watkins, faculty, fellow classmates, and distinguished guests. I moved to the States from Japan when I was 17, and whenever people ask me why, I tell them very candidly, because I wanted to be the first in my family to graduate from college. And I wanted to be a Disney princess. At least one of those dreams stuck. College had never been an option for any of my older siblings, and it certainly had never been an option for me. I remember being 7 and homeless, living out of a bulky cargo van with my parents and 11 siblings, and just wanting to go home without any real sense of what home meant. Homework was a little difficult to do without the home aspect, and paying for rice was a little more of a priority than paying for tuition. But I wanted it. I didn't really know what college was. I'd read blogs, I'd seen movies, I'd heard about finals. And if that didn't scare me, nothing was going to. So I scrapped and saved, and at 17, moved to the States with a grand, whopping total of $500 in my shoe. No, not in my pocket, and yes, in my shoe. And I thought to myself, I have moved to a country I've only seen in movies with $500 in my shoe, and I am all alone in this. I have made a very large mistake. But $500 was not enough to buy a ticket back to Japan, and if this was a mistake, I was at least going to make it the biggest mistake I ever made. And embracing the potentiality of mistakes is a beautiful thing. Even if you've turned every wrong corner and driven off into a ravine, with a car that in 2019 cannot fly yet, despite what Back to the Future told us, it's important to make mistakes because it means you've done something, and that is exceptional. So I got my GED, I passed the ACT, I joined my first semester and bawled every Monday and Wednesday after Math 1010. With my limited education, I was thoroughly confused as to why in college equations had alphabetical letters mixed in with the numbers. I turned in 0 homework because I had no idea what turning in homework meant. I got a D on my first test. I had no money for school, so I walked an hour to and from school every day. I began working 2 full-time jobs on top of full-time school. I ran out of fingernails to chew. And the worst part of all of this was that because I was the first of my family and friends to do this, I felt like I had no one to turn to. So again, I thought to myself, I'm alone in this. And then I thought, but that is not going to stop me. If I believe anything in life, I believe that hard work is everything. I do not consider myself a very intelligent person, but I will work as hard as I need to in order to get a job done right. I finished that semester with 2 A's and 2 B's. I finished the next semester with 3 A's and a B+. I finished a semester after that with 4 A's, and that's when I finally thought, you know what? I can do this. And I did. Standing here now, I think to myself, Elise, you did it. Despite everything, all the hardships and the intermediate algebra and the advanced algebra and the 500 other classes that use algebra, even though you're all alone, you did it. And then I stop. And I correct myself. We did it. Because when I look back at the road that led me here to this day, it's paved with lamplights. And not because I lit them, and not because I put them there, but because from the beginning of that dark road, I have had people who have kept their arms high and their grips tight on those lamplights for me, lighting the way so I wouldn't stumble. My parents, who taught me to take chances unapologetically. My sisters, who fought for my opportunities when no one else would. My career advisor and sponsors, who guided me when I couldn't afford tuition. My teachers who molded me. Their TAs who tolerated me. My classmates who kept me sane. My friends who kept me humble. The students and faculty I never met who together created this beautiful, exquisite, loving community that we call the University of Utah, and that I call home. And that means the world to me, to be able to call a place home. Because when we think we are alone, that's never true. If you remember nothing else but this, that's enough. Our successes are never solely our own. They belong to the people who made our coffee in the morning, the people who helped us make our first resume, and the people who stuck by our side even when we sobbed all the way through the last scene in Toy Story 3. And you must remember that. I know I always will. Remember to always be kind and to never underestimate the power you possess to be a light in the darkness. Remember to breathe. remember we have a duty to the people who have held our hand to prove to the universe that we are alive. And remember that we have fought for a place in this world. We have made it, and we deserve to be here. Congratulations, class of 2019.
Elise, we are so delighted that you found a home, your home here at the University of Utah. I have no doubt that the determination and courage that you have shown in pursuing a college education will help you excel in the future. You're a wonderful example of what is possible when you dare to dream. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. It is now my pleasure to invite David Burton, Chair of the University's Board of Trustees, to confer the honorary degrees.
Congratulations to the class of 2019. Each year on this special occasion, the University of Utah confers honorary doctoral degrees on individuals whose service to country, education, professions, business, government, and the arts, and good causes is of such a high order and significance as to warrant the highest recognition given by the university. On behalf of the university's Board of Trustees, I will now introduce the three individuals who have earned this prestigious honor this year. It is bittersweet that we award a Doctor of Humane Letters posthumously to Robert Archie Archuleta, a selection we made before he passed away in January. Last evening, President Watkins presented the honorary degree to Archie's wife, Lois, at a dinner for our recipients. Archie was an incredible force for good and an exemplary member of our community.
I was always told that when they met him, it was his smile, that he would come into a room and you knew that he was okay, that you could trust him.
So I first met Archie at a Utah Humanities Board retreat, and he had this twinkle in his eye that made me know that he was up to something, and I wanted to be a part of it.
He almost always had a smile on his face. He was always kind to everybody. The guy was amazing.
I would seem like everything that he wanted to do was for other people. There was never a person he wouldn't listen to. He was always concerned for people, and that came from his folks. They didn't have much. They were migrant workers. He taught in an alternative high school. He always wanted to make people sure that they got their high school diplomas, that they got to college if they could go.
So Archie was fundamental to the transformation of the landscape at the University of Utah in terms of diversity. The place where we are now at this university is because Archie helped us to be here. He was one of the leaders of the civil rights movement in Utah.
Archie was probably the best respected leader in the community at large. Archie Archuleta was the guy that would always be at the microphone, speaking with such rationality, with such reason, often just by force of his personality, he would persuade people.
We often had some difficult conversations that we would have on our board, and no matter what was going on or how heated it would get, you still felt like he had the overall interest of the group or the community at heart.
He can talk to a kindergarten in the same way he can talk to a legislator.
Well, Archie was inspiring. He was everywhere. He was in everything. He was helping so many people that you wouldn't even consider that he would notice. But I think that was it. He noticed. He noticed, and he would not allow you to be silent.
His spirit lives on campus and will continue shaping this University of Utah.
I hear story after story of people who have been impacted by Archie as a true lifetime mentor. Nobody's really going to fill Archie Archuletta's place, but there are going to be people fighting for generations because of the legacy that Archie Archuleta has left.
We put up a little button that we gave out at the Bernard that Archie says, "Speak up for peace, justice, and equality." And that was pretty much live for.
We are grateful for our long association with Archie and are confident his example will inspire students for years to come. We are also pleased to award an honorary degree to University of Utah alumnus May Farr.
Okay, and we are rolling. Yep. You've been referred to as small but mighty. What do you think of that?
Well, I am small. I was born and raised in Pasadena, California. And of course, when the war started, we had to move. Found a family who would be responsible for us, so then we ended up in Blanding, Utah. The school was getting out, so I went to school for just a short while. But, you know, of course, while I was there, the first day I was there, you know, they had never seen an Oriental. So they let the school out. They marched by the house to see what this person looked like. I went to school in Springville, and then my dad started a little business, and he came up to Salt Lake, and so then we moved to Salt Lake from there. I was in the nursing class. We were the first full university class at the University of Utah. I met my husband at the University of Utah. He, of course, graduated from the University of Utah also. He was in pharmacy, but you know, and he was always interested in medicine, and so was I. So when I graduated, first I did medical surgical nursing, and then moved to California. Shortly after my husband died, well, we thought that our second son, you know, was involved with drugs. And I know one day I went out, and he was staring at the sky. I said, "What are you doing?" And he was just there, just fixed in place, and he stood there for hours. And I thought, oh, tell me that he has catatonic schizophrenia. Because of all of that, I kept watching newspapers for different places I could go. Someone said, well, there are organizations you can go. So I found it out, I saw an article, and it was NAMI, National Alliance on Mental Illness. So anyway, that's how I got going with NAMI and getting him help. And
I met May years ago at some of the NAMI California conferences and national conferences. Just very nice, very kind-hearted woman, and she was sort of an example to a lot of people of an advocate for mental health.
There's a lot of discrimination and stigma associated with mental health, and we're recognizing that there's a lot of problems, a lot of people that have some sort of mental illness. We're still coming up with new medications to help, and over the years, a lot of progress has been made.
May has worked tirelessly to try to transform mental health services in her county, the state of California, and then, of course, in the whole NAMI organization. She's definitely an advocate on the national level also. At the national level, they love her.
I think everybody, whatever they enjoy, you know, you like, just put your heart into it and do what you can do, you know. Sometimes it's frustrating because you want to do more.
If anybody is more deserving of an honorary degree from the University of Utah, I could not think of another person other than May Farr.
My education here at the University of Utah has given me a lot of great tools to help me along the life, to help me do the things that I do.
Will May Farr please rise? And will trustees Katie Eccles and Barbara Wilson, interim dean of the College of Nursing, please escort her to the podium. In consideration of your extraordinary contributions in the health field as a caregiver, entrepreneur, and philanthropist, and your advocacy for improved mental health services and policies, and your compassionate activism on behalf of those with mental illness, and for sharing your experience and wisdom as a member of the College of Nursing's Advisory Council, for your generous support of health care and education, and setting an example for how to turn hardships into innovations, roadblocks into pathways, and problems into solutions. The University of Utah, with its approval of its Board of Trustees, presents May S. Farr with an honorary degree, Doctor of Science. We are also pleased to award an honorary degree to Gary Crocker.
My parents never went to college, but they were both really intense about their desire to see me go to college. Ann and I were newlyweds in college, and we were broke and had 27 downtown hospitals in Boston that I was responsible for selling medical products into. Over 40 years ago, I started this focus on medical products.
Merrimack is a company that is 100% focused in developing a treatment for cancer. We were able to develop a drug for the treatment of pancreatic cancer. Gary has been one of the earliest investors in Merrimack Pharmaceuticals and has stayed involved since the beginning. And so this ability of having a longer-term view has allowed him to make smart investments, but also advance organizations and companies in a very successful manner.
And when Ann and I look at both our business endeavors together as well as our philanthropic endeavors, I think that the common element that motivates us is an opportunistic desire, frankly, to impact for the good as many lives as possible.
Ann is a key part of everything that Gary does. The two of them want to see really good things happen, both for their family and for their community.
As one of my earlier firms, Research Medical, grew, we had ties with the university, licensing technologies, and I became familiar with various folks here at the U. That opened up an entire vision of what was going on all over the university.
I first met Gary through his service on the university's Board of Trustees, and he did a spectacular job as one of the university's closest, most well-informed advisors. When he served on that advisory board, Pierre Sokolsky, the dean at the time, was trying to figure out what they might do with the old Museum of Natural History. And not everyone could see the potential in that. But Gary could. The germ of the idea, what became the Crocker Science Center, developed to turn this remarkable, beautiful, old historic building, to renovate it and add to it. And he understood the potential of transferring the knowledge that was occurring in the lab ultimately into things that improve the human condition. That's the magic of that building.
I know he's impacted a lot of students. I have seen his involvement shift over time to emphasize more and more impacting
If I were to give any word of advice or counsel to students who are now leaving the University of Utah, to identify your passion. What really moves you, so that you in turn can use that passion as kind of a catalyst to move the needle for others and really make a contribution that's going to mean something out there in your life.
Will Gary Crocker please rise? And will Trustee Phil Klingler and Henry White, Dean of the College of Science, please escort him to the podium. In consideration of your tremendous accomplishments as a business entrepreneur, service to the community, and philanthropic contributions, for sharing your expertise on the board of numerous life science companies, for your contributions to the university as a member of its board, centers, and foundations, in recognition of your service on boards of the Sorensen Legacy Foundation, Utah Symphony, Utah Opera, and Utah Youth Village, for generous support with your wife Ann and of students pursuing science careers through donations to the Crocker Science House and Gary L. and Ann S. Crocker Science Center. The University of Utah, with the approval of its Board of Trustees, presents Gary L. Crocker with the honorary degree, Doctor of Science. Once again, congratulations to our honorary degree recipients.
It is now my great honor to introduce our commencement speaker, Pastor Franz Davis. Pastor Davis is a religious leader, civil rights advocate, and I am proud to say a University of Utah alumnus and former faculty member. His quiet dignity, respect for all persons, and his dedication to promoting unity have made him a well-regarded and much-loved figure in our community. Following this video, we will be pleased to hear from you, Pastor Davis.
Let us rise up tonight with a greater readiness. Let us stand with a greater determination to make America what it ought to be, a better nation.
By the time I met Dr. King, I was a student at Tuskegee, Alabama. He was, first of all, a very spiritual and faith-driven, guided person who then provided a good example and role model for how to bring about change in our community. And that's what, for me, made it real.
Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
I grew up in Georgia during the days of separate but equal. Went to those all African American schools through my first college experience. My father told us early on, you have to do better than I did. He had a third grade education, my mother had an 8th grade. And so they made tremendous sacrifices so that we could go to school in the high schools. I still believe that it's not enough to just believe something, but you have to then do something about what you believe. And that's where the social action and civil rights activity came from. So that all started real early, and then it continued throughout my life until today. I came to the university in 1972, recruited by the communication department And after 1 year, I was appointed as a full-time faculty member. And then I've taught at the University of Utah for 42 years. It was the university that said, you can make a difference and you can be a part of the change that needs to happen in this community, and it can be informed change. The Bible has a wonderful passage in the book of Psalms. Behold, how good and pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together. And I would have stopped there, but it goes on to say, in unity. Work together to ensure that everybody gets treated the same and have an opportunity to be the fullest human being that they can be. Being a coalition is the secret to success.
Love is silence when words hurt. Love is keeping your mouth shut when you're about to do somebody with words. Oh. Love is patient when everybody else is on edge. All of us are in this boat together.
Good evening to all of you. I apologize for those of you for whom it is not a good evening. And we'll try one more time. Good evening to all of you. Thank you. I appreciate your response. My culture is called responsive. That is to say, if an old man like me greets you, the minimum you ought to do is return the greeting. Congratulations to all of those of you who are graduating, those of you who have earned your degrees, and I hope that your future will be bright. I want to thank your families for their support, their being there for you to help you along. To President Watkins, to Chairman Burton, to the trustees, thank you for your kind invitation to me. To Chairman Simmons and members of the Board of Regents, to the students, staff, faculty, friends, ladies and gentlemen, I am overwhelmed with the opportunity to speak this afternoon. One of my mentors was Dr. Howard Thurman. Dr. Thurman taught at Harvard, at Stanford, was dean of the chapel, and Dr. Thurman taught us when we were but youngsters that respect is due to everybody, that honor is due to a few people, but kindness. Kindness, kindness. Nobody ever quite deserves kindness. For kindness says more about the person who shares it than it does about the one who receives it. And I'd like to take this opportunity on behalf of my wife, Wileen, our children and grandchildren, great-grandchildren, our entire family, to say thank you, University of Utah, for your kindnesses that you've shown to me. Now permit me to take a few moments of your time and share a bit of my own personal story. I was born during the days when it was against the law, if you look like me, to sit in the same section, to ride in the same part, to eat in the same restaurant, and even to use the same toilet facilities that the majority used. I remember the very day that my father was finally allowed, who, by the way, was some 40 years older than me, but he was finally allowed to register and vote, and he got up early one morning and did a strange thing. He dressed in his black, shiny suit from ironing, polished his shoes with tallow, put his derby on his head, got in his 1949 Chevrolet, and drove into town to serve on a jury. He was proud to be a registered voter. And finally, the opportunity to serve on a jury. Plessy versus Ferguson in 1896 put separate but equal in concrete and made it illegal to get out of one's racial place. The problem for me was I never quite knew what place that was. Is it up front in the train? Is it in the back of the bus? Is it upstairs in the theater? Is it down below in the boat? I never knew quite what place that was, and so I never stayed. So thank God for finally Brown versus Board of Education in 1954, and Mrs. Rosa Parks, along with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in 1955, they started to bring about change. And we are still in 2019 trying to get there. In 1964, the Civil Rights Act passed. In 1965, the Voting Rights Act brought us together and instilled in many of us that were hopeless a sense that it's possible. You can get there, and you can get there from here. We are still not there, though. You and I, and you graduates in particular, and your generation in more particular, are charged with activating genuine change. To cover much of what we need, but we still have attitudes that need to be changed. So I went ahead and graduated from Waynesboro High, an industrial school, and my dad gave me $27.50 and sent me off to college. Fortunately, Tuskegee, now Tuskegee University, started by Booker T. Washington, had a 5-year plan, much like many of you students were on you were on the 6th, the 7th, whatever year plan you were on. But Tuskegee had a 5-year plan where you could work full-time the first year, study part-time, and the next 4 years you worked part-time and went to school full-time. Well, I there met Dr. Martin Luther King at Tuskegee. And I met all of the other important African Americans that year. And I joined the march from Selma to Montgomery to help those who were trying to get, as my father had finally gotten, the opportunity to register and vote without having to worry about poll taxes and literacy tests. A few years ago, by the way, I'll just insert this in passing, I was teaching here on campus. I was teaching a course entitled The African American Experience, and I gave my students a copy of the literal test that they used for literacy in Alabama, and not one of my students could pass the test. And yet African Americans were forced to take these literacy tests. Now, while my mother went only to the 8th grade and my father the 3rd grade, and by the way, finally he did graduate from school after he retired, my parents insisted that their 2 crops of children would have to do better than they had done. And so here are 7 lessons that I learned, and if you got a pencil and a piece of paper, or perhaps you can write it on the sides of your head, here are 7 lessons that we learned from my parents. The first lesson we learned is that you ought to prepare as if everything depends upon you. Learn through job experience, learn from the classroom experience, and above all, get a little horse. That is common sense. And learn to apply all 3. Second, my parents taught us a lesson, and the lesson was get can't, C-A-N''T, out of your vocabulary. Press forward. Congressman Adam Clayton Powell Jr. wrote in a book and said it this way: keep the faith, baby. Curtis Mayfield, that modern day blues prophet, said, keep on pushing. The third lesson that I learned from my parents, that I pass on to you: shoot for the stars. And if you fall short, you'll fall among the stars. Pull down the walls that polarize us and build with bricks of unity so that we can be one. Fourthly, approach life with a servant attitude. For me is what I ought be pursuing or mistaken. What you ought really be looking forward to is reaching and helping others to reach their fullest potential. For we are all in the boat together, and either we sink or we sail. Fifth, in spite of the growing polarization in our society today, find a way to do something that nobody, absolutely nobody, has been able to do yet. And I tell you what that is. Find a way to bring us together. Behold how good and pleasant it is for us to dwell together in unity. That old Negro spiritual said it this way: walk together, children, don't you get weary. Walk together, children, don't you get weary. Walk together, children, don't you get weary. There's a great camp meeting in the promised land. And so, to each of you, these students that are graduating, those of you that are about to pursue your career, here's a last word of advice that I would pass on, that I learned from my parents. Don't go crazy with your liberty. Don't go crazy with your freedoms, for your freedom ends at your neighbor's nose. Finally then, and I apologize to those of you for whom you are scholars in English, and you know better than I how to say this, but here's the way my mother and father said it: be what you is, then you is what you ain't.
Pastor Davis, you are a remarkable, special man. Thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate your message that we must all work together to see the humanity and the good in each other. You've inspired us to be our best and to bring out the best in those around us. As you, the class of 2019, leave our campus, you will learn that you are part of our extended family. You're about to join officially the ranks of a distinguished University of Utah and Pac-12 alumni community. Our Alumni Association, your new community and family, extends this welcome to you.
In a few moments, we will walk out of the Huntsman Center as graduates of the University of Utah. I offer my sincerest congratulations on this great accomplishment. At most universities, to be members of their Alumni Association, you have to pay a membership fee. The same was true here at Utah. But today, you are not only the 150th commencement class, you're the first class to be enrolled in the Alumni Association automatically with no more dues. We want to maintain a relationship with you and do not want member fees to get in the way. We ask you to take advantage of your membership. Download the free Utah Alumni app and stay connected. Learn about U events and local alumni clubs. Enjoy benefits like U alumni discounts at more than 150,000 establishments throughout the country, and make connections with fellow alums for career advice and mentoring. There are nearly 300,000 U alumni across the globe who want you to succeed and continue to grow the reputation of the U as the University on the rise. Congratulations again, and forever Utah.
I think Pastor Davis was very inspiring, but perhaps the loudest cheer came with the announcement of no dues to join the Alumni Association. So we shall now proceed with the conferral of degrees. While the size and the scale of this ceremony precludes presenting individual diplomas, we take this opportunity to express our pleasure in the pride and achievements of the successes of the class of 2019. Later this month, we will be granting degrees to 87 students from the S.J. Quinney College of Law, 121 students from the School of Medicine, and 27 students from the School of Dentistry. Now, David Kita, Dean of the Graduate School, will present the candidates for graduate degrees. We ask the candidates to stand as they are acknowledged and to remain standing until all have been presented.
Graduate degrees recognize the highest level of academic achievement at the University of Utah. As graduate students, you've worked with faculty and staff to develop new medical cures, to create new ways of understanding our shared human experience, and have traveled to the farthest corners of the universe person has gone before. The faculty of the graduate school has documented your achievements, and tonight we are gathered to recognize you as our colleagues and as our peers. President Watkins, it is my pleasure and honor to present the candidates who are to receive the degrees of Doctor of Audiology, Doctor of Education, Education Specialist, Doctor of Musical Art, Doctor of Pharmacy, Doctor of Physical Therapy, and Doctor of Philosophy. Will the candidates please stand?
By virtue of the authority vested in me as president of the University of Utah, wow. I think that little slip might live with me for quite a while. So, let me give that another go. By virtue of the authority vested in me as president of the University of Utah, by the people State Board of Regents, and on the recommendation of the faculty of the university and the university's Board of Trustees, I confer upon you the doctoral degree for which you have qualified, which entitles you to all the rights, privileges, and honors thereto pertaining. Congratulations.
President Watkins, it is my honor to present the candidates who are to receive the degrees of Master of Arts, Master of Science, Master of Architecture, Master of Accounting, Master of Arts Teaching, Master of Business Administration, Master of City and Metropolitan Planning, Master of Engineering, Master of Entertainment Arts and Engineering, Master of Fine Arts, Master of Healthcare Administration, Master of Music, Master of Occupational Health, Master of Occupational Therapy, Master of Philosophy, Master of Physician Assistant Studies, Master of Public Administration, Master of Public Policy, Master of Public Health, Master of Real Estate Development, Master of Social Work, Master of Software Development, Master of Statistics, Master of Science Teaching, and Master of Science and Technology. Will the candidates please stand?
By virtue of the authority vested in me as president of the University of Utah, by the people of Utah, acting through their representatives in the legislature and on the State Board of Regents, and on the recommendation of the faculty of the university and the university's Board of Trustees, I confer upon you the master's degree for which you have qualified, which entitles you to all the rights, privileges, and honors thereto pertaining. Congratulations. All right, you may be seated. So we have candidates for bachelor's degrees. At last. As we begin, I'd like to recognize our 5 Benyon Center Community Engaged Scholars, the 170 students who will receive the Undergraduate Research Scholars designation, and the 628 students graduating with university honors degrees. Congratulations. It's now my great pleasure to present the candidates for Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Fine Arts, Bachelor of Music, Bachelor of Science, Bachelor of Social Work, and Bachelor of University Studies. I would like to invite my colleagues, the academic deans, to present the candidates from their respective colleges. Dean Diaz-Moore.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, get ready to put your hands together for Utah's newest design thinkers, environmental caretakers, and placemakers, the candidates from the College of Architecture and Planning. Will you please rise and be recognized? Students, you may be seated.
Dean Taylor Randall.
That was tough. With the entrepreneurial business leaders who will fuel the prosperity. Please rise and be recognized. You may be seated.
Dean Catherine Stockton.
Will the sly scintillating, worth our perseverating, always cool cogitating, apathy obliterating, activist candidates from the School for Cultural and Social Transformation rise and be recognized? Thank you. You may be seated.
Dean Elaine Clark.
Will the graduates of the College of Education, who will transform the lives of children for tomorrow to be future business leaders, architects, scientists, poets, activists, and pastors, please rise and be recognized.
Educators, you may be seated. Dean Rich Brown.
Will the candidates from the College of Engineering, who stand on the shoulders of their engineering predecessors that 50 years ago invented the microprocessor, put a man on the moon, and demonstrated the internet, and who will invent the solutions to the next 50 years' challenges in energy, water, biomedical devices, and cybersecurity, please rise and be recognized. Thank you. You may be seated.
Dean John Scheib.
Will the amazing artists, the courageous creatives, the professional players, performers, and portrayers, and all the makers, creators, and educators, too, in the College of Fine Arts, please rise and be recognized. Now take a bow. You may be seated.
Dean Dave Perrin.
Will the candidates from the College of Health, whose careers will be dedicated to the health and wellness of individuals across the lifespan, resulting in more health, less medicine, please stand and be recognized. Thank you. Please be seated.
Dean Stuart Culver.
Will the poets and philosophers, linguists, journalists, historians, logicians and rhetoricians, and strategic communicators please rise and be recognized, graduates of the College of Humanities?
Thank you. You may be seated. Dean Darrell Butt.
Will the engineers, the scientists, the stewards of the earth, the scholars of all time scales, all length scales, all forms of matter, all elements of the periodic table, the extremes of pressure and temperature, will the honorable candidates of the College of Mines and Earth Sciences please stand and be recognized?
Dean Barbara Wilson.
Will the candidates who will join the profession that, for the last 18 years, has been ranked as the most honest, the most ethical, and trusted profession in the United States, candidates from the College of Nursing, please rise. You may be seated.
Dean Henry White.
Will the amazing candidates from the College of Science, who will unlock the secrets of the universe, the secrets of life, and all the other secrets in between, please rise and be recognized. You may be seated.
Will the passionate and civically minded candidates who understand the diverse challenges that face our country and world and the human solutions and opportunities to face them from the College of Social and Behavioral Science please rise and be recognized? Thank you. You may be seated.
Dean Martell Teasley.
Will the fastest growing and most needed social service professionals in the state of Utah, the Intermountain region, the nation, and the world please stand up? Social workers, stand up and be recognized. Social workers, you rock. You may be seated.
Will all the bachelor's candidates please rise once more? It is with great pride and pleasure that who stand before us into our alumni ranks and into the fellowship of well-educated people. By virtue of the authority vested in me as president of the University of Utah, by the people of Utah acting through their representatives in the legislature and on the State Board of Regents, and on the recommendation of the faculty of the university and the university's Board of Trustees, I confer upon you the baccalaureate degree or certificate for which you have qualified, which entitles you to all the rights, privileges, and honors thereto pertaining. Please accept our warmest congratulations. Graduates, I encourage opportunity to gather and to commemorate this great achievement with your peers and the faculty and staff who have supported you. Our warmest congratulations to every one of you. We wish you ongoing success and a future that exceeds what you have imagined. Audience, please join me once more in recognition of the talented, hard-working class of 2019. Our special thanks to all of those who arranged for this commencement and to the University of Utah Wind Ensemble conducted by Scott Hagan. Thank you to everyone who took the time to be with us tonight for this wonderful celebratory occasion. Let us now rise to honor the graduates of 2019. As the pride of Utah, the University of Utah Marching Band plays the Utah Fight Song.
Will the audience please remain standing for the recessional? This concludes the 150th annual commencement and conferral of all certificates and degrees by the University of Utah.